viewers, welcome to Techie Track YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about high order component. Okay, so what is high order component? What is the purpose we are going to utilize that? So certain interesting facts are there to utilizing high order components. Okay, so the first thing is we are going to write a function because the high order components means we are going to write the function. The function will helpful for us to improve the performance of our application as well as we can do the code reusability in our project. Okay, so in the function we are going to pass the component. Generally we are in the function generally we are passing the properties or passing the variables and constants, right? But in the high order component function we are going to pass the component, so we can pass the component and get the component. It's like a buy one get one offer, kind of like that. In the same way you can pass the function and get the function, so whatever it is you are passing you will get it. Okay, so we need to write the code in that way, and we can implement the reusing logic in the high order component. For example, the place where we are going to render the same kind of headers and footers across the application in multiple pages. So in that places, if we want to render the content, right, we don't want to repeat the code. We can use high order component, or else if we want to render the user info like username and first name, last name, and user location, user country. If you want to render all these stuffs, we can write the high order component. Okay, so if we are implementing the high order components in the function programming, or else we can do it in the components programming as well. So if we are passing the component into the high order component, right, then we are call it as a wrapped component, and we get the uh, updated component from the HOC, right? Then we are call it as a enhancer component. So let's see that in the detail in the screenshot. So here this is the traditional way, like we have two components, component A and component B is there, and the component A is doing some count of orders, and component B is doing count of cancelled items. So for these two stuffs we are writing the separate code, and even though these two functions are doing the same kind of logic, two components are doing the same kind of counting mechanisms, we return two different functions. So to avoid these repetitive things, what we done that in earlier we are writing a one utility component, and we keep it as a common function name called fn count, kind of like that. So we are passing the list into that count function. The count function is having the logic to take the counting the list of items in that passed list, and it will return the list count. Okay, from the component B again we are calling the same utility method. So this is the traditional approach, like implementing the utility methods, and we are using the reusing this particular method in wherever we want that. But in that high order component we don't want to pass the list, so we can directly pass the function or method. So then it will return the updated method or function. Here you can achieve the high order component implementation using just three easy steps. Like first of all, you want to pass the components, right? For example, I am passing the component A into the high order component. So then high order component will do the logic like iteration or whatever we want, that we need to write the code and it will do that. So then we are called the component A inside the high order component, right? So it is called as a wrapped component because the component A is wrapping up by the high order component. And once the logic implementation done, execution done, then component A will be returned from the high order component. So now the component A is having the enhancer data. So then it is called as a enhancer component. The same way the component B is getting passed into the high order component. So the component B inside the HOC is called as wrapped component, and once the logic execution done, HOC return that component B. Now the component B is called as a enhanced components. These are all the terminologies. So let's see that what is the problem and why we are going to the high order component implementation. So I'm taking a simple shopping cart website. Okay. So I created a folder name called Hi HOC. You can see in the left side of the screen. So I'm planning to create three files: cartitem.js and items to be delivered. The business is very simple. So in the shopping cart website, I'm going to display what are all the items I want to track that, and what are all the items I put it in my shopping cart basket. Okay. So the home page contains, it's having the simple username and simple welcome message, and it is displaying track your items here. That's it. In the cart page, it is having the same kind of header, carts page, and username, first name, last name, and it is having the appropriate message like grab your offer soon to click here. So these are all the two different pages, cart items.js and items to be delivered, these two different pages, and these pages I'm getting rendered to the same page, right? Okay. So first of all, I'm going to develop the home page. So what is the home page content? The home page is having the label name as home page, right? So in the line number one, I'm importing the React, and the React DOM I'm import it. So generally to display the data, either I need to make a call to the web services, right? So actually in our channel we already have the videos and the code also available. You can, how you can make the call to the backend services and the express services and fetch the data. We already have the videos, so you can just go through that and you will get the idea about it. Right now I just hard code the username and password in a simple JSON, and I return the JSON from the get user info function. This is the very basic function. Okay, so I'm just returning it. So what I done here in the line number 16, I am writing a simple class name called items to be delivered, and it is extending the React component. So I'm exporting the items to be delivered. Then only I can utilize this component into various pages. Okay. So it is having the constructor. So whenever the component is getting executed, at the time the constructor will be getting executed. In the line number 19, I am assigning the get user that JSON value into the state variable. Okay, so that's the reason this dot state is equal to get user info. What it will do, it will make the call to this get user info in line number 5, and it will return the username, first name, last name, and all these stuffs, and it will be assigned to the state variable. Okay, so in line number 19, I'm just rendering the component. So in the return statement, I give the line number 24 as a home page is a header, and line number 25, I'm just rendering the username. The username is assigned inside the state variable. So this dot state dot username, and the first name, last name also I just render it this dot state dot last name and first name, and have the simple ahref. It is a dummy one, so that's the reason href is equal to hash. I provided that, and I'm just giving that this dot state dot items to be delivered. This is a simple thing. If I go to above, right, the top first part, the home page, first username, and welcome message with first name, last name, and I just give the track your items here. This is what I achieved to write this program. Okay, so this is the cart page actually. So in this cart page, what I done here, the same way importing React and React DOM, and return the same kind of get user info from the line number 5 to line number 12. If you see in the line number 12, I included the items in cart, that is the variable we are going to utilize for this cart page. So the similarly, it's kind of the previous page. So the difference between the home page and cart page is the line number 12 in home page. You can see that items to be delivered. That variable I used. In cart page, I just put it as items in cart. This is for the cart page variable. Okay. So more or less the same thing. Exporting this cart items class, and it's having the constructor and assigning the user info into the state variable, as well as we are returning the line number 25, right, displaying the username and last name, first name, and displaying the items in cart also. Okay, So I need to import these two pages, right? So I'm importing the items to be delivered and items to be cart items in app.js. And anyway, we are utilizing the same thing like items to be delivered, that instance needs to be getting displayed and the cart items needs to be getting displayed. Okay, so this is the output we achieved. So we got the output. So what is the problem here? So if you see the code, right, we are repeating the numerous things like we are duplicate the function get user info, and we are going to display all this stuff, store it into the state. Okay, this is a very model page. So if you see that if you are developing a very big shopping cart application and you want to display the same kind of information into the various pages, so you can't duplicate your code. That is not the best practice, right? So in that scenario, we are going to utilize the high order component, right? So we can avoid this get user info in copy paste into the multiple places, right? In multiple pages also, I don't want to do that, right? So to avoid these stuffs, we are going to write the high order component. So this is the syntax for high order component, okay? So you need to import React as well as that component from the React, and you need to create one component constant. So I put it name as a HOC, and it is a arrow function. I already told you, right? We are going to write the function. Even though we developed the components, we are going to create a high order component as a function. So it's having a two parameters, component and data parameter, and it's the return type as return class extends react.component. So if you pass it as a component, it will be getting written as a component. If you pass it as a function, it will be written as a function. That is the beauty of high order component. And it is having the render method. Inside that I'm returning the component. Okay. So export default of this constant. Okay. So let's see that how I'm creating the high order component. So this is the get user info we saw already. So if you see that in line number 10 items in cart and line number 11 items to be delivered, these two things I used in the same function, because we are going to uh, use the high order component for both home page as well as the cart page. So that's the reason I included both variables in the same function. Okay, so this is the code. So you can see here, right, I create a variable called HOC high order component and passing the parameter as component comma data, and return the react.component. Okay, because I'm extending the react.component, so the class needs to be getting extended. Then again we need to write the constructor. So the constructor is having the properties as a argument, and I used the in line number 18 this dot state is equal to, I created a JSON variable, so that user details colon get user info. Then it will make a call to this get user info. Then it will assign all these get user variables and values. And in the render method, I'm returning a div. So inside that div, I put it as a from HOC. There's a dummy text. Here I'm giving the component. So in the component, right, so what is the component you are passing? I will return the component with the attribute called user details. That property I will send that. So that property's value is this dot state dot user details. So what is the user details will have? That user details will have the user details. We already saw that, right? This complete JSON set will be available in that user details, and it will be passed on to the appropriate components, child components. Okay, let's see that. So I'm exporting the high order component here. So we'll come back to the home page. This is our home page. Earlier we written the multiple lines. See, right now we are not having the get user info method. This is the home page written in the high order way. Okay, so in the same way I'm returning the render of home page. In the line number 9 I put it as this dot props, because earlier we used this dot state, because inside this component we called the get user info. Right now we are not need to call that particular get user info. because we are going to utilize the high order component. So we are getting this props of user details, username, last name, first name, and items to be delivered. In the line number 17, I created a constant. So the constant name is enhanced items to be delivered. That is the constant name is equal to HOC. Because in line number 2, I import the HOC, that high order component, and I will pass the class. What is the class name? Items to be delivered. This component will be passed into the HOC. Okay, so the higher order component will be getting called. So from the line number 17, it will make a call to the HOC. It will hit this line number 14 in hoc.js, and the component will be replaced with that items to be delivered. That is the class name, and it will assign the user info details, and that items to be delivered will be written with the user details JSON array, sorry JSON. Anyway, it will come back to the line number 17. So, and I am exporting this enhanced items to be delivered. Then only it will be available to the app.js to render the data. Okay, so I will move on to the home page. You can see that, right? In line number 4, I'm using the enhanced cart from cart items.js, and enhanced items deliver from hidoc slash items to be delivered.js. Okay, so in line number 10, you can see that enhanced item to be delivered I used, because I give this variable name here, right? Here you can see that enhanced item to be delivered, so I gave the same variable name here. Then only you can render the data in the high order component way. In the same way, I developed the cart page also. In the cart page, I used that render method, and this dot props, user details, username, last name, all the stuffs. I already told you we are going to use the this dot props because we are passing the component and we will get the component with the property. So that's the reason we used this dot props. Here the component name is cart items. So in line number 18, constant is equal to constant enhanced cart is equal to HOC of cart items. So it will make a call to HOC. I'm going to HOC. The component name is cart items. It will be passed here. The line number 16, the constructor is getting created, and that in line number 18, the user details will be applied for the cart items, and line number 26, the cart items will be returned with the user details property. Okay, so if you come to the line number 18, it's having that entire JSON values, and it will be getting exported. And in line number 4, you can see that enhanced cart of high OC slash cart items.js. So that enhanced cart contains the complete set of values, right? So anyway, it's getting rendered here. Okay, you see the output, and we are getting from the HOC. So that's the reason I just put it as a from HOC. In home page, it is giving the username, first name, last name, and track your items here label, as well as the cart page details also getting rendered. So while you are developing the high order component, you need to be very careful, because in the line number 2, we already give it as a React DOM, but in while you are changing your class to the cart items.js, you need to you need to remove that React DOM import statement. Otherwise, it will throw the exception. So hope you understand all these stuffs. Thanks for watching this channel. Happy coding. Bye bye.